Negan.
I am Negan.
What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of I Am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. I am your host, Adam Vale. Tonight, I'm joined by Rich Bailey Jr.
What's up, listeners and viewers?
Yes. Thanks again, everybody, for supporting, for just watching and following on Spotify and on YouTube and over at the Koalition, because that's where we're from, the Koalition with a K. You can go check that out. It's been fun. This has been a pretty good season for Fear. And it's a shame only because I don't think a lot of people are watching Fear. That's the downfall. I look at the numbers. The numbers are pretty steady. They're still hitting in the millions and stuff. And I think a little over 1 million last I checked. And for some people, like, oh, that's low. And it's like, yeah, for compared to the mothership of Walking Dead proper, very low. But compared to other shows during this time slot and on other networks, this is high. This is very high, and if you consider the budget, which is low, they don't have many big name stars on here demanding these high paychecks, so it balances out. So it's still there, and that's why we keep seeing the show getting renewed. And in fact, it got renewed for season 7, so we know they are coming back. And with that said, people, if you're watching, and we know people watching these reviews, and that's great. Tell your friends about this show. Not our show. Not I Am Negan. Don't go there. I'm talking about just Fear the Walking Dead. We need more people watching this spinoff. Because yes, some spinoffs are trash. We know this. But this is not one of them. This is a very good spinoff. And yes, it's a little long in the tooth when it comes to, we're on season 6. So if you try to bring in some friends that have never been into it, they knew about it because they watch Walking Dead, but like, 6 seasons, I can't. This, and I think we've talked about it even at the beginning of the season, the way they kicked off. It's almost like starting anew. You don't need to know all the other stuff that's going on from the previous seasons. If they have not watched the other ones, they could just jump in. As you heard from our intro, we also have Carlos, who's on Fear the Walking Dead when we cover that one, the main one, and he's still trying to no, I need to catch up, I need to watch all the episodes. No, you don't. Just start on season 6. You don't, because the turnaround time and the turnaround on the casting, minus a handful, it's pretty consistent. So it's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about all that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because that's one thing when I talk to people and I'm like, oh, what do you mean you got another episode of I Am Negan? But the Walking Dead's not coming. No, Fear, that's still a thing. I'm like, oh, yes, it is, and it's a good show. Go watch it. So that's my point there. All right, people. So if this is your first time, just so you know, we will be discussing this episode with spoilers. So if you have not watched it, you can go to AMC Plus and watch it there in advance. If not, you could come back after it is on Sunday, and then you could just hear our thoughts and our little breakdown on it, because we do have some words about this. So just a quick countdown. So now you know, 3, 2, 1, boom. All right, here we go. John Glover, that is Teddy. I recognized the actor and I was like, where is he from? And then I just gave up and I went on IMDb. I was like, all right, where are you from? He's from Scrooge. That's the first thing that pops up, and that's what stood out to me. He was the prick that was trying to steal Bill Murray's job at the cable network in Scrooge. He's just got with the beard and the long hair and everything. It's masking him up, but yeah, he's a great actor. He's been in a lot of other projects, so there we go. So this episode opens up where we see, it's sort of a flashback. We see him on death row, and he's watching the news on his little TV in his cell. I don't know much about prison. I don't know much about death row, but I was really shocked because I've seen a lot of episodes of Lockdown. If you ever seen that show about like prison life, and all, I don't recall ever seeing any of these cells actually having a TV in the room. Okay, like I get if you're removed from Gen Pop and this whole thing, maybe this is a special prison for this, but he had his own TV. And then again, these are the little things that stick in my head, and people are like, you're overthinking and move on. Yeah, but he's got a TV in his cell. Think about that. And he has control over it. He's just like, I don't want to hear it because the news is playing and it's talking about the outbreak. The pandemic is happening, right? We got patients in the hospital attacking others, and there's all kinds of chaos going on. So he's sitting there and he's hearing it. He turns it off. Doesn't care. See a picture of his mom on the cell. We see a bunch of writings. He's already going crazy. Well, we already know he was crazy going in from what we learned from John Doring Sr. But we see that he's really going overboard, talking about revelations, all this stuff. So we then now see within the hall another inmate being escorted down with some of the guards. It looks like they're bringing him to the chair for get electrocuted or lethal injection or something like that. And that's when he says, don't worry, keep your head up, the end isn't the beginning, and the whole thing. And the guy's like, just shut up, don't worry, you're coming up next, your time's coming. And I was like, oh, all right. So there goes that. So he starts writing all this stuff down, and some time passes. Lights are flickering. Next you know, the doors open up. Cell doors open up, and the same crew that we saw go down now come back just as walkers. Blood's everywhere. It's like, what's going on? They're attacking other cell inmates, and one of the guy comes into his cell, and he picks up his pencil, retracts the pencil part, the lead, and just jabs it in his head. And he was like, this is it. This is what I was waiting for. This was the sign. He's all thrilled about it, right? And then he's like, all right, that's it. And then as he walks past another inmate eating one of the guards, and he was like, well, this is it. This is what I was saying. Revelations, people, revelations. And he wanders out. That's our intro. What did you think of this backstory explaining how he got out? Because this is what we talked about, right? We talked about at the end of last episode. It's like, how did he get out? Because remember, John Doring Sr. said he went to the prison and saw the cells opened up. And what did you think of this?
Well, I thought that I guess it did an okay job of explaining everything that led up to that point. Of course, we didn't see John Dory Sr. at any point. We saw the news clippings that mentioned that yes, he had locked him up, but
30 years.
30 years, and the thing is, I couldn't really tell that it was 30 years because of the appearance of the character, and it didn't look as though that this happened a long time ago. So but I will say, I guess they had to have that in there to give you context as to how he escaped. Mm-hmm. I do think it would have been better if this character, though, had perhaps an origin episode, which shows you everything leading up to how he became the person he is today, because that probably would have gave a little bit more context. But again, I guess just to fulfill this whole thing and explain how he escaped, they had to have this scene in there.
Yeah, I think we get a little bit of that origin backstory when later on in the episode when he has that walk with Dakota. And that's where he starts saying, hey, 30 years I was in there, and we'll get into it, but that's it. I think that might be all we get. I don't think we're going to get, I don't know, for a part of me feels like, and you sort of said it right before we started recording, I don't think he's going to stick around. I think someone else is going to take control. I really don't think he's going to stick around on this one. All right, so there goes that. That was a nice intro to the whole thing and into the show. And we see that Alicia is locked in a room, still at the holding, which is still up in the air with me because at one hand they're saying it's been destroyed, everything's all gone kaput because of the fire, but then they're still there. So it can't be that bad. But anyway, she's in there, and also the PA system still works because we hear Teddy's propaganda speech is constantly echoing around, and that's all she hears. She's laying in this room. She's got no TV, no books, nothing. She's just hearing him rattle off all this craziness about what they need to do, their goals, and this and that. It's just a brainwashing. This is how these cults handle things, and I always remember that whole thing with Jamestown. That was what they said. The survivors had said. It was just on the PA. That's what he was pumping off all day long. That's all they heard. So anyway, that's what we see here. And occasionally it looks like Riley comes in and is like, all right, are you one of us now? Have you accepted? And she just gives him like this dead eye look like, just get the hell out of here. And he does. He just leaves. He threw her a can of beans or something like that. She had some beans. And he leaves. So it looks like time has passed. And we find out, and from the next scene, when Teddy does come in, and she's like, oh, you're tired of sending in your goons, and it's like, oh, well, you're tired of eating your beans. So I don't know if she was on a hunger strike, if that's what they were trying to imply with that scene. but it has been some time because she says, "Oh well, it's been 3 weeks." It's like, all right, 3 weeks. Again, don't really know much with the time, but we talked about this from before with the last episode of when June went to the cabin and saw all the supplies still left out there when she was trying to save John. And yet it was still on the table. So that guy that was living there left all that for 3 weeks. You know, it's like, come on now, what? Or is this a time jump from that point, from when all that took place, and so it's 3 weeks after that? Because I'm assuming in my mind, this is what's happening while June June and JD Senior and all that stuff is happening. Right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. Like, this is all at the same time.
that's what I imagine it is. Also, it wasn't really clear because I think I had mentioned on a previous episode when they had the scene when all the stuff that happened with Morgan and Grace. That also happened sometime after the previous episode, so it's hard to determine. We know obviously what happened with June and JD. That definitely happened after what happened with Grace, but the time, it jumps around a lot with some of this stuff, so it's hard to know whether or not this Alicia story is happening at the same time or after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah, right. That's it. So I was just trying to figure this timeline out because they're not helping. So, right, so then next, they start getting into this back and forth, and she's like, I'm not interested in this. And he was like, oh, no, you got to understand our plans and all this stuff. Nope, not buying it. So then Riley just gets ballsy again. He just takes his gun out. It's like, I'm just going to end this now, and I'm going to put it down. And he pulls an arm wrench on him, wrenches his arm back. It's like, no, it's not happening. This is not how it's going to happen. She's going to come with me. We're going on a trip. And then he looks at him and he's like, yeah, I learned some things in prison. So it's like, oh, okay, there you go. So he wants her alive for something, and they're going on a trip. So the next thing, they go outside. It's daylight, and this is the part that confused me, only because of how this cult was introduced and what we know. A school bus shows up, and all these people start getting off, not tied up or anything, just like walking off, like do. And Alicia looks at Teddy, was like, hey, what's this? Oh, these are new recruits, people we find along the way out there. And then we see Dakota. She's one of them. It's like, oh man, Dakota is like, and Alicia was like, oh, you know her? It's like, oh, I don't, she's not a friend, but I know her. So she walks over and it's like, oh, well, what's happening? Oh, this is great that you're here. And it's like, oh, you know each other. And then he walks off to find out some stuff, and then they start talking. And she was like, oh, I was looking for you. She's like, what do you mean looking for me? He was like, hey, I went out into towns, and I was looking to see, this is Dakota speaking, I was looking to see where you were, and I couldn't find you. And then I saw this cult group with their bus, and they were picking people up, and I just decided to go along with them to see if I could find you. Stop right there. None of that makes sense, because we've never heard of a bus picking up randos on the road. We've never heard of this. Jenny never talked about it, right? No other group ever talked about, hey, have you seen that school bus around picking up people? I think it's for the cult. No one's heard about that. So that right there made no damn sense.
But one other thing, too, that didn't make sense is that we know, and I believe it was in the previous episode, when Dakota keeps asking Morgan, saying, hey, how can I help? Can I help? And Morgan tells her, no, not right now, no. So when did Morgan decide that Dakota would be the best person to help get this information and get on the inside? We never saw any of that, and I don't know, knowing her track record, that she can't be trusted. I think that is a poor decision to say this is the character we want to try to go inside.
Well, that makes you wonder if she ran away. If she ran away from the group and she was just out there on her own trying to figure things out, because she did try to. Yeah, because remember, she was trying to get part of it. Like, hey, I helped you guys. I told you where the group was and the underground, and I'm doing all this stuff. And yeah, like you said, they were just pushing her aside. So I wonder if that was, because later on we'll get into it when she starts spilling the beans, or sort of spilling the beans, talking about how things are falling apart with Morgan. Which also doesn't really make much sense, because that doesn't seem to be the case. But anyway, so they're going this back and forth, and then Teddy jumps in Because then, right before that, she starts saying, like, well, now that you're here and, we need to find out what's going on with the keys. This is all Dakota speaking. It's like, and he's an old guy. Look, we can see, let's kill him. Let's just kill him. It's very, I don't know. She was like, I don't trust you. And I don't even trust her. It's just out of nowhere. You just saw her it's been weeks and you can't trust her. You know what she did to John. So anyway, Teddy comes over and then he talks about what's going on here, and he sees a connection because she says, well, I know her because of her evil mom, and she tried to kill her mom. Oh, you did? He's like, well, but I couldn't. I didn't do it. Someone else beat me to the punch. Like, oh, that's great. So we all have something in common here. Like, well, he doesn't say it there, but we see where he's going because he was like, now you're coming along for the ride. And then Riley's like, what's going on? You can't bring him by yourself. He's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. All right, they're coming with me. And if you don't hear from me, I think, was it a few days or something like that, or a day, he says, then go along with the plan. You know what to do.
And he gave him the key.
Yeah, and he gave him the key. He was like, here.
Key around his neck.
Yeah, that's it. And you got the juice now, man. Here you go. Right? You the man. And at that point, just in my head thinking, well, we know Riley's a loose cannon. He's ready to pull the trigger at any point. What's stopping him from pulling his gun and shooting Teddy right now? It just proves that he's super brainwashed, though. Because if he was all about himself, he could have just like, pow, that's it. Teddy's gone. I have the key. I know what we're going forward. You all heard it. He said I could run the show. You were going to say something?
Yeah. I think, he's loyal to the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Still concerned about Teddy's well-being on the trip, but he just said that's why he didn't want to take him out. But yeah, he's just loyal to the plan and loyal to Teddy. That's why he wouldn't shoot him.
Which brings up, just like you said, with the loyalty, and that triggered something for me because I was like, any money bet. This is what I'm saying to myself. He's going to follow them. He's going to follow off in the distance. He's going to keep an eye on them because that's what he's going to do. He's the right-hand man, right? But we'll see. That's not what happens. So all three of them are in a pickup truck, and they're driving down a road, and Alicia's still trying to figure out what's going on here, what's happening. And he starts talking about just his plans and the things he wants to do. And we don't have issues enough with all these names. And remember we talked about Victor as Strand, and then they flip-flop on that. And so he starts calling Dakota Sue. And she was like, Sue? He's like, yeah, Sioux Falls. That's one of my favorite parts of Dakota. So I'm just going to call you Sue. And I was like, great. Are we dropping Dakota? Is that it? Like, the only way that would happen is if later on in other episodes, everyone else just starts calling her Sue. Like, what's the point? I just try to get these names straight. So anyway, starts talking about that, and Alicia's like, well, I see the road that we're going. Are you taking me to the stadium with my mom? The whole thing. I was like, no, there's stuff you're going to see. And then, as they're just rambling on about this, they hit road spikes and the car starts spinning out of control. And this was one of my favorite scenes because I was hoping to see a little more with this, but it was still fun because you see them like swerving and everyone's like leaning to the right, like, oh, and then sure enough, whoop, oh my Lord. Wait, I just skipped a part. My bad.
The body.
That's right. My body. I was just thinking about it because I'm so excited for this scene. I'm too excited. So, all right. So right before, when they're heading over to what she thinks is going to be the stadium, they're going to a cemetery. They go to the cemetery. They go to a mausoleum, and they pull out a body. And they're like, what's this? What's going on here? And in my head, I don't know if you were thinking this, I'm like, oh, he knows where Madison's body is. Like, did he decide to bury her? No one buried her. No one even knows if she's dead. But I was like, oh, what is this? So he pulls the body out. He opens it. Just a regular body. It's a woman's body. She's dead. And he talking about, this is Mom. My mom died. And I miss her, and I let her down, and, and all this stuff. And he's like, but this is a new beginning. We're starting a new beginning, and she could be part of it. And the other two are looking at each other like, he's crazy. He's crazy. So whatever. It's like, all right, we're good. So now what? So he's like, all right, help me bring it to the truck. So boom. Now we see why they were in a pickup truck, because now they got Mama in the back, right? And he said she died too soon. Really doesn't go into how she died. And then, then that's when we get to the rambling and then the spinning from the spikes. And then we see the body just fly out of the flatbed and then go tumbling on the floor. That was fun. I don't know part of me was expecting the body to get up for some reason. You know, it's like, oh, she turned, but you know, I think at this point it's because she's already dead. She's been embalmed, and they remove the brains when they do all that. So then there's nothing to trigger for the virus because we don't, again, all the way back to the original lore of Walking Dead, we don't know what caused this. We sort of know from what we've seen from World Beyond, out of all places, that maybe this came from space, from aliens, right? And that it contaminated. It was something that came from space, and it contaminated some people and infected them, and it turned a bunch of people that died from this explosion, whatever was in that ship, whatever, turned them to zombies, and that's it. And it just went airborne. We learned that in one of the episodes of World Beyond, when one of the soldiers was talking to the other soldiers about it. And it was like when they remember they were going to kill everybody in the hospital. And they're like, why are they turning like this? What's going on? And he's like, I think it's had to do with the alien ship that crashed. So it's a rumor. But that's the only one that we know of. We don't know really what some people are saying. I think that it's some kind of experiment gone wrong. But we've never had any mention of that. They've never said anything. So anyway, the body doesn't get up, but it does make a lot of noise. So he goes, the best scene was when Teddy turns around, Mama! I love that scene. His face, Mama! You know, he jumps out and he's like, oh, Mama. He starts kissing her and stuff. It's like, man, you know how bad that body must smell right now?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh yeah. So it's, come on, help me pick up Mama. And they're like, yeah, I guess so. So they go to help, and then that's when we start seeing all these walkers because of all the noise, the commotion. And again, the noise and the commotion is something I've always argued about with all of this, because yet we still have on Walking Dead proper, we still have Daryl roaring around on the streets with his motorcycle. Come on now. Yes, I get it. For the aesthetics, it looks cool. Crossbow, biker, yeah, I get it. But it doesn't make sense in the world.
Yeah.
Too much noise. Sorry, too much noise. So anyway, they start heading over. Teddy takes out his pistol. He wants to start bucking shots. Alicia's like, no, it's going to make too much more noise. We're going to get even more walkers. Let's just handle this. So they start taking them out one by one. As they're doing this, all of a sudden, we do hear buckshots. And when all the walkers that had surrounded them are dead, we look off, and who do we see? Cole! Anyone care? No one cares. Because I'm sure a lot of people, when they saw him...
somebody cares. Alicia
don't care. She don't care. She recognized him, but she don't care. Because that's the thing. She was like, Cole? And then we get this close-up shot, and I'm like, I sort of remember him. Yeah, you're part of that community, because there's a bunch of background people. There was a bunch of people that in that community when they were at the stadium farming. There's people that she had saved along the way when they were filling it up. You know, you just have to fill it up. And to have this as the reveal of like, all right, the shocked face, because we saw that in the preview trailer. Remember before? Her shocked face, like, oh, he's like, oh, this is it. And everyone with the title being Mother, we're linking it all together. No, it's Cole. No one cares. Right? No one cares. I'm sure anyone who's watching, anyone listening is like, yeah, I didn't give a shit. You know, whatever. It wasn't a big reveal. It wasn't like if we saw some of the other groups and like, let's say if some of the people that were on the tower that collapsed. Remember the dam a few seasons back. Remember when that exploded? And there were some people running off the tower. If some of those people were survived, it's like, oh, okay, because that was part of the main storyline. This is just a background character. Whatever. He's here, and he's surprised to see Alicia. Teddy was like, oh, who the hell are you? What's going on? And she was like, I know him. He was part of the group of my mom, and this is back at the stadium. And he was like, yeah, me, Doug, Vic, we're still alive. There were even more of us, but, you know, we came across some bad people, and it looks like you would have come across them too, because that's where that road spike was there from. And then they zoom in and you see a road spike. It's like, yeah, that's their plan. They put these road spikes up to catch people, and then they kill them, and that's how this works. And, you know, what's going on here, you know? And then they go into the little back and forth. She starts explaining what's going on with her. And Teddy was like, well, this is fate. And I have to agree with him. Like, this is kind of a lot of coincidence. Like, you have Dakota, who just so happened to be on that school bus of new recruits. And then now you're on this trip, and you come across a former friend. You got who has a gun with ammo still, which is like, whoa. It's like, wow, that's amazing. And again, we don't know the time. We don't know how much time. Has it been a few years? What is the time from when the stadium and from where we are now? We don't know. They don't even say it. All we know is that he asked Koalition, how's your brother Nick? It's like, all right, well, Nick is gone. We know that. And the whole thing with Mom, and he doesn't say that she's dead. He says, hey, she helped us out. She did the distraction, did all that, and we all went running and we went looking for you. But you guys, we didn't know where you went. We couldn't find you. We were looking for you. So we've been out on our own, and we came across some of those other bad people, but we survived that group, and we picked up some others. But we're still around. So. You should join up with us. We could do something. Like, what's the story with Teddy? This old guy, Colonel Mustard over here. And she was like, I don't know. She's like, I don't know what's going on with him either, but I need to find out. I have my own agenda, pretty much. And what's funny is that all this is what we just described, all this talking, it's not really whispering. Everyone's here. There's no other background noise, so he can hear Dakota here. Everyone can hear. What is happening? What is this like phase out that you're doing? It doesn't make much sense. But anyway, he was like, "Well, we need to fix this tire. We need to fix this." And the Coles, well, up a few miles up there is a supply store or like an auto shop or something. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can find what we need there." And if you want, we could do this, and I can go. And Alicia, again, it makes no sense. It's like she was like, no, we're good. So you're ready now. You just reunited with this old friend that you seem to care about, but you're willing to just say, no, go on. Keep living your life, keep doing you. With Doug, and I'm gonna keep doing, and we're gonna go in our direction. That made no sense. That made no sense to me when she made that comment. But no, Teddy was like, no, this is perfect. No, he definitely is going to help us. But before he does, to escort us over there, I need that gun. And he's like, why? He's like, because I don't trust him. We really shouldn't trust him. You may know him, but we really should. And he brings up a very valid point when he says it. Because you're right, we don't. I don't know. So he says, don't worry, he's cool with it. He's not giving the gun to Teddy, but he gives it to Alicia. And she takes it. She's like, all right. All right, cool. And then that's when they start walking, and this is where we get the pairing up, and everyone starts having their little conversations here. So before I go anywhere, because I've been rambling, what did you think of all of this? This intro with these bringing back the background characters from the 2 seasons back. What did you think?
Well, I definitely think it was a fake out because the episode is titled Mother. So I know the rumors of the actress possibly returning to reprise her role. And yeah, I absolutely was expecting that to happen, but I will say this, the way they handled the fake out and the fact that it is the people that she saved by sacrificing her life, I actually was okay with that because the whole time Alicia is thinking that she can trust these people the same as she used to. But again, the circumstances have changed because the world is nowhere like how it used to be. So I was totally okay with the decision to introduce these people. Did I care much for the Cole character and the others? Absolutely not. But how they tie it together in the fact that her mother sacrificed for these people, I thought that was a pretty reasonable explanation.
It would have made more sense, and it would have immersed us into these characters a little more if they would have just thrown in some flashbacks. If they had any of that, just showing that group and showing, just a flash. It doesn't have to be a lot, just showing them. Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, who are these people? What is this? What's going on here? Why do we care? None of that. And then if you think about it, the big telltale right here was that when Alicia did see him, she didn't run over and hug him or anything. It's like, oh, Cole, you're here. All right. I don't know. Whatever.
That's true.
It is what it is. So they get over to the garage, and they're looking around, and again, they try to do these little moments in between all of this where you get two characters start sharing some dialogue, and we get another one here with Alicia and Teddy, and he's like, "Oh, you remind me of my mother," and it's like, what? Who cares? Why are we still talking about your mom? Like, this is just so weird. It's like, all right, whatever, and they're going through the whole thing, and then a bunch of people storm into this garage once they got their parts, because that was the other thing. While they were on this road, Teddy starts talking about the things that he wants to do and the plans that he has, and that why they need to go where they need to go, that they have supplies and people and all this stuff. The key part there is there's people, there's a group. Even Alicia tells Cole, there's a group. These people, he's dangerous. He's a dangerous man, because he was telling her along. It's like, oh, we can take him out. No, that wasn't enough. So he still gets all his guys out. This is Cole. This whole crew comes out, and it's like, all right, this is the plan. We're robbing you guys. We are those bad people, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna fix up that truck, and you're gonna take us to where all that stuff is. That doesn't even make much sense. That doesn't make much sense, because she just finished telling you before that he's a big cult leader and he's got people. So you're going to storm over there with your handful of guys? Didn't make much sense at all. Because if anything, what I was assuming was going to happen when they introduced these characters is that they were all going to join up. Or maybe this was going to be like a red herring, and that they were really already part of the group, but they were the escorts, and that they're with Riley. Because that's what I was thinking, that Riley was watching all of this, and that's why he helped out with the shooting, but he didn't want to go out and help. And this is all a big ruse. This is all playing mind games, because of the whole connection that they know Alicia has with the stadium and the people, and maybe that's that these were former members that they picked up, just like they picked up Dakota, and they recognized Alicia, and it's like, oh yeah, we used to go with the mom, we were part of that stadium, we were all okay, so this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go on a trip, we're gonna introduce, you're gonna save us, you know what I mean? Like, dude, I don't know, I felt there was a bigger plan, and because that would have made more sense than this was the dumb plan. This is the dumb plan. So, whatever. So now they start heading back, and during this time, more dialogue. One of the key parts that stuck out to me was the Dakota and Teddy talking about his life and how he spent 30 years in jail, in prison, and he starts saying about some of the things that he did, and then she starts talking about what she did, but with killing John, but she had to, but people don't seem to understand why, and this and this and that. So they're having a bonding moment, and we know that he's a manipulator. We know that he's a brainwasher. This is what he does. This is what cult leaders do, and I see her eating all of it up. She's definitely connecting with him. This is it. So, yep.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it was very predictable what decision she would make later in the episode. I think when we saw that, because as you said, they had their bonding moment, and really, all she wants is to be a part of a group that is accepting and welcoming of her. So when they had that moment where they had that conversation, I already knew. I wasn't surprised later when we get to what actually happened. But yeah, I already knew that was going to happen, because they made it a point to show you that she was getting along with Teddy without any issues.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's like all right, but then again, still trying to figure her out. She's definitely the wild card in all of this. She's the one that can flip flop, because she's already flip flopped a few times. So who knows? We don't know until we find out, maybe in the next episode, what's really going on with her. So anyway, they get back to the truck. They fix up the truck, and Alicia's like, you know what? Just take the truck, take the stuff, just get out of here, just go. It's like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to wherever he says he has all these supplies. If we could live there in peace and the whole thing. And then I think there was like Doug, or Doug and Vic, one of them starts saying, it's like, yeah, that sounds like, let's just take this, let's just go. No, that's not what we're going to do here. We have a plan. This is our plan. We're going to go, we're going to take all this stuff, and then they get into this whole altercation, and then we see all these walkers start approaching them now. So they start fighting with the walkers. A whole big thing's happening. Doug and Vic, I don't know how they survived this long, because they instantly die. He's like, ah! that scene with with Vic just along the glass, just like smearing her blood, like and they're eating her and stuff. And everything. It was kind of funny. So all that's happening during this commotion, Cole has dropped his weapon. So Alicia, she picks up, she has a pistol, she's holding it. So now who's left? Surprise, surprise. We got Dakota, Teddy, and all the other people are gone. Because that was the other thing. There was more heads there besides those two. He had a crew of people, but they're all gone now. I guess they all died. All right, and so it's just Cole, and they're holding it. Alicia's pointing the gun at him, and they're going through the back and forth. Oh, well, you didn't have to do this. We can work things out. We could. She's like, no. She shoots him in the head. I don't know. Yeah, like, she kills him. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But that scene, and they spent a few seconds, like, zooming in on her face, and then they zoomed in on the body. I'm like, are you trying to get a reaction from the crowd? From the viewers? I didn't care. He meant nothing to me. You know what I mean? There was no connect. There was no nothing. I did not care at all. What she did was justified. That made perfect sense. So yeah. I didn't get it. You know. So this part though also threw me off, because at this point I'm like, all right, you shot him. Now just turn around and do something else with Teddy. But in my head, I had to stop myself. Like, remember the plan. And that was the main reason why she didn't join up with Cole when he already had the gun the rifle pointed at him. She needs some more info. You know, she already had told him about all the stuff that he had, but she wants to know what's the point of the keys, what's going on. She knows he has a bigger plan. So now they continue on their journey with all this, and then he starts talking, and Teddy starts talking. He's like, see, you can change. We could all change. And it's like, no. It's like, no, we're not all changing. This and that. We don't have to do it your way. This is not the right way to do things. And then so she takes the gun out, and she points it at his head at this point. So she does...
Well, no. She also asked... She asked him, though, about what is the key for.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a pun intended key moment, because then he actually tells her that.
Oh,
and
yes,
once she finds out,
because it was a two parts.
Yeah.
That's right. Because I keep mixing that up. There was another point where he starts talking about it, but then that was later. Yes, that's right. Keep going. You can explain that part.
And so she asked him, what is the key for? And then he tells her about what it is, the fact that it's a missile. And then once she gets that information,
missile that's
then
on a submarine, a beak submarine.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. And then once he reveals that information, then she pulls the gun on him and attempts to kill him. Now that she has what she's wanted this whole episode, which is more information about what is he up to.
See, but the problem that I had with all that is she doesn't have the keys. He doesn't have the keys. Yep. Riley has the keys. So then why at this point do you decide, all right, now I can use the gun? No. We still need the keys. You know the plan. Now he thinks you're good with him because of what you just pulled off, killing Cole and then not just shooting him. So then it's like, all right, well then stick with the plan until you get next to Riley. Then you kill Riley and take the keys. You know, that's what I'm planning in my head. I don't, whatever. So she does.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You know, it just makes more sense. But I see why they had to do this scene now, because as we just pointed out, she points a gun. She's about to do this whole thing. Maybe not. And then Dakota picks up the gun that she had from Cole, and she points it at Alicia. It's like, no, not happening. You shoot him. You gotta shoot me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, again, with the flip-flopping. Is she really part of it? Is she not? Is this her goal? Was this the plan that Morgan had? We're going to send this little girl out. Well, not a little girl, but, this young woman out there. She's going to go and find this group. That part doesn't seem to make much sense to me, because that's not Morgan's style to do something like that.
No, I think you made a very good point earlier, which is maybe she sneaked out because it feels as though she's operating on her own agenda. Once she decides that she's going to try and shoot her, that's what it feels like to me. Like, because she made the turn so quick, and then it's like, yeah, because it just creates tension. But because I don't think that Morgan would actually send her out to investigate this situation further, knowing how the character is. But again, I guess we'll have to wait till next week if they wonder, well, wait, hold on, Dakota's missing. Where is Dakota at? or
Or
you
do
know,
they even care?
because
Or do they even care? You know, who
yeah,
knows? We'll find out because we'll find out. So then, at this moment, surprise, surprise, Riley and all the other goons show up, and then I have to say goons because we still don't know. We were wrong. At least I was wrong. I thought the name of this cult, this group, was called the Holding, but no, it's the base location is called the Holding,
yes,
and so I don't know the name of this crew that he has. I don't know the name of this cult. They still haven't named it. Sort of like how we don't know officially the name of Morgan's community. We called it the Wall because of that one flashback with the daughter, Grace's daughter, calling it the Wall. But we haven't heard Morgan or anyone actually name it the Wall. So whatever. But they just all show up and they're like, all right, come on. Now we're going to go. Now you're going to see how this whole thing pans out. And this gets interesting because I think this links to a little bit more of what we know in the real world, at least from things that we've heard in stories. And he starts talking about how, well, we're heading off to another location that we found that we were looking for, and it was an underground bunker in a hotel. And these bunkers were placed underneath these hotels and stuff, and just in case there was ever a nuclear war or strike, something that all these politicians can go and hide up in. Well, they found one, right? And that's where they're going. So they head over to this location. Right? We see they don't do a lot of shots, and that's what I guess, you got to keep costs low. But this would have really been cool to see this type of hotel, to see more of the bunker structure. I don't know. Just would have liked to see a lot more for the scenery. But anyway, we just see they head to like a basement area. And it's sort of, it's weird also with the hatch that they had there, because that hatch very much like a submarine hatch with the big wheel and then tightening. I'm like, why would you have that type of door, in a bunker location? I don't know. It was weird. But he throws Alicia in there. He starts saying, the end is the beginning, the beginning is the end, and you will be the beginning. And it's like, what are you talking about? What is this? And Riley, again, wants to just kill her. And he's like, no, you don't seem to get it. It's like, she is the key. She is exactly. I wanted her to try to do this. It just proves my point. And I started understanding his madness, which I'll get into. So right after this, because I'm starting to get it. So anyway, he throws her in. And he locks it up. He does the whole turning of the wheel. It's like, this is it. You're going to stay here. You are going to continue on when all this ends. Right? You're going to be the beginning to all of this. And they leave. And that's how this ends. And now, this is what I'm saying with the madness, is that my theory is that he realizes how crappy the world is. And he's assuming that once he shoots this missile from the submarine, is going to destroy everything. I'm assuming this is a nuke, right?
Yeah.
It's a nuke missile. It's not just a regular rocket on it, and it's going to destroy everything. And by keeping her in there, it's going to protect her. So then when she does come out, which I don't know how she's going to come out from one of these type of holdings, because like I mentioned, there's a wheel that on the other end. She has no food. They didn't show supplies in there. He did say there were supply stuff in the bunker. With the scenery, we don't know what's in that room. He just tossed her in. We don't know if there's a bed or anything. So maybe there is. Maybe in the next episode we'll see all kinds of stuff in there, but we don't know. So anyway, but my thinking is that by locking her away, it's sort of protecting her. He wanted someone who was tough, who could survive in this world, who was smart, and he felt that and was very independent thinking, and she had all those qualities. So he believed in her, and she's willing to make the tough decisions. And he saw that when she shot Cole. That was a friend. She saw what was going on. She didn't party up with him because she didn't party up with him. She just said, no, I'm just going to, I have an agenda. This was going to happen. It's my goals. And when all hell broke loose, she took him out. So she proved it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where he's going with, because he plans on pretty much, doing like a Heaven's Gate type of thing, where they all die. He's ready to die. His whole crew, they're all going to die for the greater cause. which again really doesn't make too much sense, because if you go back a few episodes when we were first introduced to the group, they said that they were shutting off. The plan was that we're all going to stay underground. They were going to then deploy the bombs, the missile, whatever, the nuke, and then stay underground, and that way the top gets cleansed, right? But the way he's talking now about how she's going to be the beginning and all that is as if he's preparing for death. That this is it. They're all going to die now. And I guess maybe because the holding, their base is ruined. But then why did you find this new base? Isn't this also an underground bunker location for your people? I thought that was the whole point. Don't tell me you just found this underground base just for Alicia, just to store her away. It's just a little, there's a lot going on their storytelling and where they're going with this. But what did you think of this whole big reveal with the bunker and the plans and all that?
Well, yeah, I was a little disappointed to see where Alicia ended up at the end of the episode, because I have questions about, well, who was going to free her. I think you know, we're going to believe that Morgan and the group are going to eventually take down Teddy, but they don't know exactly where she's at unless Teddy reveals that information to them. So I don't. I'm not sure exactly how.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like who is going to save her, unless it's going to be one of those things of after he deploys a nuke and whoever is still alive, he's going to tell them to go to that bunker location to free her.
Yeah,
that type of thing. Does he want her as the new leader to replace him? Is that what he's going for?
That's what I thought the path is that they were going down before. As we spoke on this show previously, the whole thing about if her mother was actually a part of this cult, that she would then join that cult and turn against Morgan and the team. And that's what I thought they was trying to imply with this episode before when I saw the title Mother, because otherwise I'm thinking, why is the title Mother? So, yeah, I'm not really sure which path they're going to take. And the other interesting point
before, I didn't bring it up because I was like, well, it was just for shock value, but because you just brought up Mother and it triggered it again. During the time when he was trying to get more information, when Cole was trying to get more information from Teddy, remember he took out the body of the mother and he started blasting it in the head with the rifle, and he was like, whatever, that's not even my mother. I was like, what was the point? What did you just say? He was like, yeah, that wasn't my mom, and I just did that just for show. I was trying to connect with you guys and just show that everybody that your mom had saved is now dead. There's no connection there, so you can just join up. But I was wrong because we found some of these friends of yours. That scene wasn't needed, but that's why I went over. But whatever, keep going.
Well, yeah, because the scene probably was needed to show how crazy the guy is. But the other point that I wanted to make is, like I said, there's a lot of things they have to tie up. If I recall correctly, earlier in the season, Strand also received the key after he proved that the whole episode where he helped them to kill off those zombies that was at that base.
And that's funny that you bring that up, because remember, she did grab the walkie-talkie and I guess connected on the same frequency. Again, everybody seems to know all these frequencies. Just mess with the dials and you're all on everyone else's channels. And she's trying to reach Morgan, can't reach Morgan, but she reaches Strand, and she just starts to just rattle off like, hey, real quick, this is what's going on, and it's a missile, and it's on a submarine that's beached, and then they just take that away from her. But that doesn't go anywhere, so that's not going to help her much, because there's no GPS on this, and she did not give the location of where she's at, because at that point she didn't know where she was going. So does Strand have that key still? Does he have a key? Is that a key?
From what I recall, he does still have a key, but he didn't know what the key was, what the purpose of the key was. So I guess we'll have to find out, because I recall earlier in the season he got one of them keys. So I'm curious to see.
I thought he just got that Christopher chain, that necklace. Remember that saint thing, and now it's being passed around from Daniel and all that. But you're saying he got a key?
Yeah, we may have to go back and watch that again. I could have swore he has a key though. because they wanted to give a key to a lot of the people that proved as though to Virginia that they could handle a challenge. And I know Virginia was very intimidated by this particular group. So, but again, we'll have to see. I'm pretty sure if he does have a key, we'll know next week. When this group has to come together and try to rescue Alicia and stop what's happening. But we'll see.
We'll see, because I mean the way, and I'm wondering there's only one way, if you really think about it. There's only one way Alicia's going to get saved, and it's going to be with Dakota's help, because she's the only one that is connecting all of these groups together. She knows everybody. She knows where Strand is, because he's at the old town where she grew up. She knows where Morgan's crew is, and now she knows where Alicia is. So that's the only connection that I can see, that at some point, if I jump the gun in my head, that somewhere along the lines, Strand was able sort of to understand that connection. Maybe he's seen where that submarine, that beach submarine is, because she gave some coordinates to where it was. So maybe he knows where that is. And so he gets Morgan and they all go over there, and while they head over there at the same time, that's where we see Teddy, and there's a big shootout and Riley and all that stuff. And then they grab Dakota. Maybe Dakota flips on Teddy. Maybe this was the ruse to prove that she was a changed person. Who knows? And it says, come on, now let's go get Alicia. I don't know. The bottom line is, I don't think we're ever going to see this whole thing get destroyed by a nuke. If we did, that would be absolutely amazing, and that would bring that up. That would bring me back to not last season. I think it was season 7, or it's one of the seasons for American Horror Story. If you ever watched that, and they had where the nuke went off and everybody started going into bunkers and stuff, and the whole season was taking place in bunkers underground. And I was like, could we see that with Fear? Would they go down that road where it turns into one of those type where everyone's walking around with gas masks and things? I don't think so. I think they would be very boring, so I don't think that's going to happen. But who knows? But then again, we don't even know it's a nuke. He just says that he has his missile, and that's going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
So destroy everything as into your local area, so that if that's the case, and everybody just moves somewhere else, and season 7 takes place in a new environment. I don't know. New location. All right, but whatever. We will see, people. That was it. That was season 6, episode 14, Mother. Yes, red herring, Mother. We did not get Madison back. Ta-da. And I'm so many people, I'm sure when they saw this, were like, oh, this is going to be the connection. Like, nope. They only used Mother because Mother was the connecting factor between Dakota, Alicia, and Teddy. They all lost their mom. And there we go.
Well, yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, hey, there's still 2 episodes left, so there has to be something major that happens in the finale. I would think so. Yeah, we'll see what that is.
Yeah, something major's going to happen. I like Teddy. I like his character. I like the actor. It works. But I don't see him sticking around like a Negan situation. You know, how Negan got merged into Alexandria and all that stuff. I don't see that happening here. But I think that, who knows? Maybe, and then Riley is definitely the villain. He's definitely the villain, because he's ready to shoot at any moment. He's been wanting to kill Alicia since they captured her. He's like, let's just kill her. He's the killer group. That's all. He is what you would want as a right hand. If I had a cult, that is the guy I want. The itchy finger guy. Yes. Because he is the one that's going to, if I say, that guy could be, can you help me with, no problem, boss. You know, it's like, there you go. That's the one that you give a good raise every year. All right. Yeah. So there you go, people. Thanks again for tuning in. And we will be back for next week's episode. And over at the Koalition, I think later today, right? Rich, you and some of the other from the site, you're going to be covering, Army of the Dead. I might as well bring that up because it's all dead related. Let's bring that up. You guys are doing a review on that?
Oh, yeah, that should be interesting, because I haven't spoken to the others, so I don't know what they thought about the movie. So
see, that's always good. All right, people, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Peace.